Who is God? Is he Buddha? Is he Jesus? Explain that to us, please.
This is actually a pretty gnarly question on one hand because of the way people think about God. But on the other hand, it's actually kind of easy. I mean, Buddha, we can sort of take off the table because Buddha has a human history, all right? So by definition, if we're thinking of God as an eternal being, well, that pretty much takes care of Buddha. So Buddha is not God. Allah is a little bit different. On the one hand, this would be easy because when was Islam, created as a religion? 5th, 6th century AD. So if we think of Allah as the creation or the God of Islam, which of course he is, in that sense, historically, we don't have Allah before that. But again, that for those who are going to be asking the question, that isn't quite what they're asking for. They're going to say, maybe they, reading something on the internet about, Islamic apologetics or something like that, and they're going to say, well, the God who created the universe, that one, okay, the eternal God who created everything, that one is Allah, and he's not, Yahweh of Israel or something like that. So they're not rooting it necessarily in a historical context. The only way you can really approach that is, let's talk about attributes. Let's talk about what's said about Allah, or again, the God of the Bible. There's a lot of overlap here because, again, as a scholar, I pretty much have to say what is factually the case. The Quran, in large part, actually lifts content from both the Hebrew Bible and the New Testament. For instance, the Quran will affirm the special supernatural birth of Isaac. It'll actually do that, even though Muslims will trace their heritage back to Ishmael. They don't deny the uniqueness of Isaac's birth in the Quran. They likewise don't deny, Jesus as a prophet or even virgin born. They do not, of course, the Quran will not affirm that Jesus is the Son of God because Allah has no sons. Okay, so there are going to be points of similarity between the theological understanding of God when you're talking about Allah in the Quran and, God of the Old Testament or the New Testament or even Jesus. What about the differences? Again, the differences are just as dramatic as maybe some of the congruences are. Muhammad, again, was well informed, or at least knew about, in terms of tradition, the theology of the Jews and, of course, the Christians. And for whatever historical reason, objects to certain doctrines. And so, even though we're talking about the same deity, the creator of the whole world, you can't finally escape the notion, the reality, that in the production of the Quran and the articulation of Allah, that choices were made, very deliberate choices that were theological parting points, okay? So when it comes to certain things like, hey, is Allah's relationship with believers based on covenantal love, like the God of the Bible or the New Testament? The answer is no. There is no sense of covenant, chesed, loyal love, or anything like that. Is salvation based upon the decisions, the covenantal plans, the decisions, really the offerings, the grace of God, like it is in the Hebrew Bible and the New Testament? Or is it based on obedience, submission? Well, again, if you know something about the Quran, the answer is the latter. So that's a very stark theological division there. So if we're talking about the theological distinctions, okay, the God of the Quran and the God of the Bible are not the same really in fundamental ways. And so even if you're thinking of, well, we're talking about the Creator, okay, we got the Creator right. There's one Creator. The character of that Creator, the character of that deity, what that deity does or does not do to redeem people, to save them from the plight of the world, is dramatically different. And so in that sense, and really those are some of the most important senses, you can't say that these are the same deities. Now, I realize that's not an ontological question, because a Muslim and a Christian and a Jew can affirm that there is a creator, there's only one creator, we believe this creator brought everything into existence. They can affirm all that. But you have to move beyond that point of sameness to the character and the relationship, the behavior, really, of who God is. And what, again, not only makes more sense, humanly speaking, but what you would expect if there is a God, this God to be like, if he creates humans that had to have a purpose behind it. It's not a good purpose because he doesn't just annihilate humans, he seeks to save, so on and so forth. And then, what makes sense when it comes to a saving relationship. So there are some dramatic differences. So I don't think we can say at all that these are the same God. It really depends on what you're talking about, but you can't narrow the discussion to just creation and things like that and be honest. You have to widen it to the whole picture.
Why is